The forest was quiet, except for the sound of rushing water somewhere beyond the trees. A teenage boy walked deeper into the wilderness, anger still burning inside his chest after an argument at home. He thought he was escaping his problems, but before the sun disappeared behind the hills, he would meet a stranger whose words would remain with him forever. The afternoon had started like any other ordinary day. Warm sunlight covered the grazing fields outside the village, while sheep wandered calmly beneath the open sky. But for one young teenage boy, peace had already disappeared long before he stepped into the forest. Earlier that day, he had argued with his mother. It was not the first disagreement between them, but this time, frustration and pride had clouded his judgment. Angry words were exchanged, voices were raised, and instead of calming down, the boy stormed away from home without thinking clearly. At first, he wandered carelessly through the fields, trying to distract himself from the guilt slowly growing inside him. He played alone for hours beneath the fading daylight. Yet no matter how far he walked, the argument continued echoing inside his mind. Eventually, without realizing how far he had gone, the boy drifted toward the edge of a thick green forest stretching beyond the hills. For a moment he hesitated, then slowly he stepped inside. The deeper he walked into the forest, the quieter the world became. Tall trees blocked much of the evening sunlight, while cool wind moved gently through the leaves above him. The sounds of the village slowly disappeared behind him. No voices, no laughter, no familiar sounds from home. Only birds in the distance, and the soft rustling of branches swaying in the wind. At first the silence felt peaceful, but after a while, it began feeling strangely lonely. The boy continued wandering through the thick forest without any clear direction. Then suddenly, he noticed something unusual near the riverbank ahead. Beneath the shade of a large tree sat an old man leaning quietly against the trunk. His eyes remained fixed on the flowing river beside him, as though he had been sitting there for many years. The boy slowed his steps carefully, curiosity slowly replacing fear. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. The old man simply stared at the river, while the sound of moving water filled the silence between them. Finally, the boy stepped closer. "Sir?" he asked softly. "What are you doing here alone?" The old man did not answer immediately. Instead, he remained quiet for a moment longer, as though searching for something far away inside his thoughts. Then slowly, he looked toward the boy. There was sadness in his eyes, but also peace. "Time flies," the old man whispered. "Things change, and people change too." He glanced back toward the flowing river. "Sometimes I wish life allowed us to live twice." The boy listened silently. The old man continued speaking in a calm voice carried gently by the evening wind. "If I had another chance," he said, "I would spend more time with the people I loved, the friends who stood beside me, my family, the moments I once thought would always be there." He paused briefly before lowering his eyes. "But life is a journey," he murmured quietly, "and every journey eventually reaches its end." The boy stood quietly beside the riverbank, listening carefully to every word. Something about the old man's voice felt strangely heavy, almost as though he carried years of regret inside him. After a moment, the old man turned toward the boy again. "And what brings you here, young man?" The boy hesitated. At first, he looked away awkwardly toward the river. Then finally, he spoke. "I argued with my mother, and I ran away." Silence followed. The old man nodded slowly as though he already understood. "Do you believe running away solves pain?" he asked gently. The boy said nothing. The old man leaned forward slightly. "Everybody experiences problems," he continued. "That is part of being human. But escaping from them rarely changes anything. The real answer comes from understanding where things went wrong, accepting mistakes, and making peace." The boy lowered his eyes quietly. Deep inside himself, he knew the old man was right. The river continued flowing calmly beneath the fading evening light. For a while, neither of them spoke again. The boy simply stared silently into the moving water, while the old man's words echoed through his thoughts. "Everybody makes mistakes. What matters is understanding them." Slowly, The boy lifted his head, but the old man was gone. No footsteps, no sound, no movement between the trees, just the empty riverbank beside the flowing water. The boy looked around in confusion, yet strangely, he no longer felt angry. The weight inside his chest had disappeared, and for the first time since leaving home, he finally understood what he needed to do. As the sun slowly disappeared beyond the forest, the boy turned around and began walking back home.